We're going to talk about today's Parsha, and it is Behalotecha. Okay, but it is the story of Aaron in the beginning, where Aaron is told to raise the lights. Okay, so each Parsha, the word that they use for it, it comes from the very first, usually word, 2 or 3 words of that Parsha section, because that's really giving you the essence, what it's talking about, but to raise the light. So this is not something that Aaron is told to do, the high priest. We're an archetype of priests also. So let's take it right into the sod and take it into a deeper spiritual understanding right away. Now, but what we're talking about here, first of all, is the menorah. How fascinating, okay? And how versatile. What I want to show you is how versatile the menorah is as and there's a name for it, is a learning technique, like a mnemonic that can be used over and over. Here are some different menorahs with the information. Well, it's always 7. Okay, so you always have, again, it follows the archetype of 7, the middle pillar, and which you can always see. Look at the picture of it. There's a middle, and then on the sides, the 3 each of 6s, they come into a part of the menorah, is usually how it's constructed. So it's important to see there is a vav, there is a straight line, there is a middle pillar, and then all the other parts of it from the sides flow into it at different sections. So in this one, there's a lot of this imagery of the 7 spirits of Yah in the book of Revelation. It's very mysterious. People don't understand where it comes from, what it's referencing. It's referencing the tree of life. It's referencing these 7 separates, okay? We know that. So let's talk about it. And it talks about them. There's a spirit of wisdom and understanding. What do you think that is? Chokmah and Bina. There's counsel, there's power, there's knowledge, there's fear of Adonai. I'm not quite sure. I didn't really go to check at the verse, because it says, it lists the 7 spirits of Yah, and it talks about these again. And what we're talking about is the Sephirithic eternal life light of Yah as he pours it down into his creation. Okay, and we're absorbing it in different levels. I mean, hey, our skin is absorbing the sunlight, and we don't even know it, and we're getting all sorts of benefits from it, but so are our eternal organs. But then again, so are we, being able to function in the daylight of the sunlight. I mean, there's so many levels of these things going on at the same time. But either way, move to the one on the right. Again, you have this same concept of the middle pillar there, which is the feast. There's 7 feasts of Adonai. So there's 7 spirits of Yahweh. There are 7 feasts of the Lord. Okay. And so why 7? I have a whole chart on the number 7s, the times it's used over and over again. You never miss out on an opportunity to mine a number, especially a big archetypal number. So in this one, they put the feast, and they put Pentecost in the middle, because the Pentecost is as we just celebrated it, the festival of Shavuot, the giving of Torah. And what it would be the middle, the Torah, it's the word. He is the word. Moshiach was even the word made flesh, okay, all the way down into a physicality. His DNA literally was traveling down. That's why the bloodline is so important. So anyways, but you have, the spring feast on the left, and you have the fall feast, and it just fits every nice. It's a way to remember. See, has so many levels. You could put layer upon layer upon layer. Maybe we should do that, ElectLife. That would be great for our production team, our artistic creative production team. Layers of these, of the menorahs, and all the different ways in which you can code information. It's the same information. Everything always lines up. And this way you can, if you learn it, it's pretty easy to recapture it. Okay, but the one that we're interested in today is in the middle, where it takes, and it literally is, and this is the highest level of understanding. So this Aaron's the high priest. He was bringing the light, and he had to raise it. So part of this is there's this idea of raising up. Our free will has to come up and come into agreement with Yah has to offer. We have to raise holy hands. We have to raise up to receive the light. This is a very high important principle. So you have to raise the light and ignite it and bring it down. I'm going to get a little bit how that's so important, but let's start with the Sephiroth at the top. Keter is the middle pillar. Keter, it starts with everything with Keter. If you understand the tree of life and the crown, I'm not going to go into it, but you will see that this, which I have a printout of, you can print it out. The way this flows corresponds 100% to this chart, especially when you understand how to read it. So the middle pillar from Keter all the way down to your Malkut, that again forming the middle pillar, that's the middle of this menorah when you put the Sephiroth on it. Okay, and then you have coming in from one side, Bina comes in at the top, and then Chokmah comes in on the other side from the top. Is right here, right where they would come in, and then it moves down to Hesed coming in on the right into the middle pillar, and then Gevera, and it comes down to Netzach and to Hod, into Yesod, into this right here, Yesod, and into here, which is we are physicality. And where do you put the base, the Malkut, that fits on the table on physicality in every way? And what's lighting this up? We got light. Where's the light coming from? Well, some pearl source, and here you are. You're the high priest. You're lighting these sephiroth so they can bring down. It's a whole beautiful pictorial imagery of always Yah is pouring out. He's pouring out. Heavens are declaring his praises, his blessings, his goodness, unfortunately also his judgments. So, but just to see that as an archetype, I think that's really beautiful. And the other thing that they code into this, that's coded into this, so no good space, nothing is goes to waste. And even what is in between. So if you see on ours here in the middle, and if you print it out, it has these, here's the worlds. So the world of action, this is the world of Asiyah here. It goes up to the world of formation, which is Yetzirah. I talk a lot about this book called the Sefer Yitzhar, attributed to Abraham, and the greatest spiritual giant. Okay, and he, the Sefer Yitzhar, the world of formation, he got it at this high level, what was going on. Okay, and then you have the world of Beria, in their world of creation. You know, they're all different Hebrew words to form something, to make something, and to create something are all very different in the even in the order. Even if we took this strictly to an engineering perspective and try to get the flow, the process, it's always the same. Truth fits. That's why it's true. All right, it never. Okay, so either way, so you get the worlds, you get the Sephiroth, and then you get the placement of and the right side, the left side, and the middle pillar. I mean, what's there, not there, to always be able to train the mind and bring the mind back to truth and to use it as your template, your foundation. So let me just share now something else really quick. I found on this concept to raise the lights. Okay, now again, the menorah also, it represents Torah. This is what's in, I guess this is what's so creative and interesting, that one archetype can be all things to all people and fit everything. But why wouldn't it? So the menorah also represents the Torah, the source of divine light in the world. This is alluded to in the Norse design, which is detailed in the 25th chapter of Exodus. The menorah has 7 branches, and we just go through all that. Now, what we didn't go through, and it goes up, it has 11 knobs, which are these. Okay, 9 flowers, and 22 goblets, which is so interesting, because 22 is, there's 22 letters on the tree of life. The whole thing also represents the 10 Sephiroth, but also the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So these numbers represent the 5 books written of the Torah. So anyway, so we got 11 knobs, 9 flowers, 22 goblets, and was 17 handbreadths in height. These numbers represent the 5 books of the written Torah. The first verse in the book of Genesis has 7 words. The first verse of Exodus has 11 words. The first verse of Leviticus has 9 words, and the first verse of Numbers has 17 words, and the first verse of Deuteronomy has 22. So again, it is so many different ways, because remember, they memorized, remember, right? And that was it. 103, 896, I'm close, letters, specific letters that make up what is known as the Torah. All this is our aids, but let's keep going. Now to the lamplighter. Let me say this, that an artifact of the menorah's complexity is usually, now this is what's, again, this is why we're told what Moshe was doing as above, so below, and all these levels was an actual supernal archetype. And that is why, you know, the artifacts of the temple from the first temple, they hid them when they first went into the Babylonian captivity. They hid everything, and it's never been found again. So if you don't know this, like the menorah that they used in the second temple, they call Herod's temple, was a replica. Okay, it wasn't even the real menorah, like with the real Ark of the Covenant, with the real tablets, is all hidden away somewhere, this is all part of the drama. And the copper scroll of all this stuff that because the world, they weren't going to let the world get their hands on this. This is holy spiritual technology. It was stay out of the hands of the profane. So keep that in mind. But here's another point about the menorah. An artifact of the menorah's complexity is usually fashioned by first molding each of its parts on its own and then welding them together. So that's how usually, make different parts. I even know this, and then weld it together. But the menorah hover was hammered out of a single piece of gold. Originated, can you imagine? And the thing was huge. Originating as a single object and remaining a single object through the various stages of its construction until the finished product. But that archetypally is perfect because it explains the whole flow. It's called the 10 sayings of Yah, 10 separate, this whole system in which he created everything. He did it all in these 7 days. On the seventh day, he said he rested. Everything was in place. It would just hum along and be in a state of now perfect rest, tranquility. The whole machine was going to run and work forever. Okay, well, and this is known as the name, Yod He Vav He. When you understand the tree of life and you truncate it, it's Hebrew letters. That's why the name of God, they protected the name, because that is Yod He Vav He, is like the most condensed version. And when you crack that code, you have cracked. Talk about the God particle, Yod He Vav He. So this is who knew? As a Christian, who knew? We thought these were stupid Old Testament artifacts. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, the best teaching tools, they're still going to be the best teaching tools in the millennium to get everybody back up to speed. But let me, a couple more things here. This is from these are from, I have to say, this website called Chabad, which I love. And it goes into this deeper level of understanding. You get so much more meat out of this. But here we go into, again, this idea now of the lamplighter. So why also, there's another level, there's a drosh level. Okay, understanding of why Aaron would be, lighting the lights and what he represents and what is his mitzvah doing and when we participated in it. So this is to teach us that the lamplighter must hold the flame to the wick until a flame arises of its own accord. Very interesting. See, this is from Rashi, one of the most brilliant Torah commentators of all time. But think about it. I mean, what's the point? Every time you take a match to try to light something, and if it doesn't light, you don't give up and walk away. You make sure that thing lights. Okay, that's a very important point. So the lamplighter, we have a responsibility, the high priest had initially, to hold the flame to the wick until a flame arose, number one. Because we're igniting light, and then as you will see, you are passing light. So here too, the endeavor must be to kindle the lamp so that a flame arises of its own accord, so it can be self-sustaining. This is true discipleship. This is truly how you replicate something that is going to be self-sustaining and self-replicating. So that in teaching and influencing one's fellow, the object should be to establish him or her as a self-sufficient luminary, to assist in developing his talents and abilities, his or her talents and abilities, so that their lamp independently glows and in turn kindles the potential in others. That's the whole point. We're supposed to encourage one another, right? To all shine together in our individual gifts and talents, and then together as a whole. This is from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He is the main original teacher of the Chabad movement here, and these are some of his sayings, but in this understanding, it still doesn't change. This is truth here. And this is the point we need in our discipleship, but we have to make sure that that light is lit. Now, an artifact, okay, now let me go into this one. The second part of this is that the second law is that, so the first law would be you got to make sure it's lit. The second law is that although the menorah sheds its light with 7 lamps, where do you see? None of this is made up like Book of Revelation, 7 lamps. This guy was a Jew. He understood all of this stuff. Just saying. They must all be turned toward the central stem. Didn't we just, that's the whole thing. They all come in like this. In keeping with God's instruction to Aaron that the 7 lamps shall give light toward the face of the menorah. This expresses the truth that although the soul of Israel shines not with a single light, but by means of 7 lamp menorah representing the various prototypes of human character, the 7 sephrim. At the same, all right, let me just stop here. And this is another whole level of the Torah. Again, we talk about psychology in this level of the Ruach here. Our personality, we're knit together. This psychological at the time of our birth, it's even so complex with the sun and the moon, the position of all these things and the energy and the coding that's in them. And then it comes together on the day of our birth at a specific time in a certain part. It's like, who would have thought this out? Nope, this is a master clock thing going on here. All right. So, so these 7 lamps, okay, must all be turned toward the central stem. In the 7 lamps, they give light towards the face of the menorah. The face of something is, it's outward. You're facing out, and it's going out. It's not an inward. So now all this light is coming down in a very invisible, subliminal, and it's going out now. This expresses the truth that although the soul of Israel shines, not with a single light, but by means of a 7 lamp menorah. See, all of us as a prototype of our human character, the 7 sephrim. So there is something to this personality thing. We're not all the same. And we do need to understand everybody's needed. Every mix, all of it has to go into the mix. And at the same time, all lamps of the menorah face the body from which they extend into like the middle pillar concept. They do even a study that's so crazy. Everything that goes through the middle pillar, all the wiring, all the organs, all that wiring, all that goes through the spinal cord, down and through the heart, carries to the liver, carries all that information, all goes down through that middle pillar. Okay, so this represents the various types of human character, the 7 sephrim. You know, a lot of times, you think about this, a lot of times we say amongst ourselves, we'll say, oh my gosh, I have so much Gevera, my personality is so Gevera. You're just so strong, or you're so Hesed, just constantly kind and loving, but never able to really rebuke a fly, Okay, you can't have these extremes per se. Got to bring it to the middle. But all these lamps of the menorah face the body from which they extend, emphasizing their singular origin and their singular goal, the unity of it all. So this is where do you think Paul is getting his whole concept, as he's saying, just as a body, though one, has many parts, many separate, you look at the organs, and they say that every separate is over certain organs and over certain systems and over certain zones. This is truth. Okay, it's not new age. It's our inheritance, our understanding of how Yah works, and we can receive the full blessing if we will just rise up and take our inheritance. Paul goes on to say this, then it goes that even though there's many parts to the body, so it is with Messiah, who we were all baptized for by one spirit, the Ruach, the Bina, the divine feminine, so it is with Messiah. Whether Jew or Gentile, slave or free, we're all given the one spirit to drink. We can all achieve understanding, okay, that high level. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Paul goes on to say this which proves that there is equality and importance to every person's life, just like it is in the body of Messiah. Okay, so this is everything, you can't, if you're totally deficient in heart cells, after all, it's going to affect things. everything. And this is a time too where I really believe that the parts of the body are coming together. This is another part of Ezekiel's vision. Remember, the body parts come together and it's not all disjointed, you know, everything comes together and it rises up and it's a beautiful archetype again. It's spectacular and it's astounding. Okay. And so this is really important. This is interesting. But what I'm saying also for us to understand is that this idea of being lamp-lighters, and that we have lit our lamps to a certain level of understanding, and now we need to increase it and to make this light glow and be bright and learn how to light it in other people and to light it. Pray for the Elect Life Ministries. Pray that we just really can. I can somehow focus this. I really that's called to get this into a level in which it can be, you know, bitten off and chewed in chunks and digested and assimilated, and then we can have an amazing unification of so much separative light and understanding. It will transform the world. So on that note, shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, and I will see you in the next video.